All right, we are continuing from where we left off. So I'm saying readers bring experiences to their work, but ultimately what is important is that there is a reader, a writer, there is a narrator, there is a creator of this particular work, who might not be the narrator actually, because the narrator is a character or a voice within the text, but there is someone that creates this work, and in creating this work, the creator actually brings their experience to the work. Now, you will notice that this creation of this work is coming from the mind of the author. So the author comes up with this work. The author develops this work. Upon developing the work, they share with the audience. Now, what really goes through the process of creating this work? Do we see everything? Do we see all the experiences of the character in this work? Of the narrator? Do you think the narrator gives us all the information about themselves? Because this work is actually a reproduction of the author's experiences. Now, you will say that no, it's not possible that the author's experiences are in this work, but I'll tell you, everything we know, everything we are, is our experience. The experience that we have had, either directly or indirectly. It could be something that I've gone through myself, or it could be something that you have gone through, but you have shared with me. So I have read about it, or I have heard you tell me, I have heard about it on radio, I've heard about it on TV. That is your experience. And because I've heard about it, I've become aware of it. And as a writer, I'll choose what to share and what not to. And as I'm sharing that, honestly, I'm sharing my experiences. And I'll be extra careful at every point not to reveal certain bits of information that I think are very sensitive or that I think are very private to me. So if I can keep that which is private to me to myself, then I'm somehow censoring myself. And in censoring myself, then you can clearly tell that there's certain information that I need to keep hidden. But just like the slip of the tongue, certain bits of information will always come to the reader. The reader will always be able to get something to say, okay, here possibly the writer was trying to say this, and they deliberately censored themselves because they thought that we shouldn't share this information, so they tried to keep this information to themselves. What does that mean? The human mind can easily be accessed through the literary text. Meaning through the literary text, we're able to get into the mind of the author. Similarly, the text itself can be a reproduction, a total reproduction of the human mind. And we get to the three aspects of the human mind, the id, the ego, the superego. We can see the text broken down into all those. We can see all these desires that want to be expressed, but part of it says that this shouldn't be expressed. We can see all those coming out through the literary text. And we can see a balance being stricken amongst all these three through the literary text. What does that mean? Through the literary text, we can get into the human mind. We can understand human behavior. Why do human beings behave the way they do? We can do that through the literary text. That is how it is. Let's move a little further and get into the discipline of geography, for instance. We have already said the literary text is a reproduction of reality, of the society as we know it. If it is a reproduction of the society as we know it, it means that it is going to represent a particular time and a particular space. If it's going to represent, a particular space, it will therefore have to have an actual relationship between the space portrayed, or the space as portrayed in the literary text, and the space as actually lived out there. I know those are tricky issues when you talk about reality, how a place is really lived, the reality of the place. Those are very tricky issues. But still, I want to argue here that every space has its own geographical interpretation, geographical realization. Every place has that. We can therefore use the literary text to understand the geography of any space. Yes, we have agreed that the writer makes the literary text artistic so that it is enjoyed by the reader. But this does not mean that the writer will operate completely outside the lived experiences of his characters, who he happens to be among, as we have said, because he's using his experiences. So because that is the case, then we know that we should expect to interact with the real geographical representations of the spaces of this world. We can therefore tell whether it's cold or it's hot, whether it's hilly or it's not, whether it's watery or it's sandy. We can tell all that through the literary text. We can understand the geography of the world through the literary text. What this means is that we can get into the discipline of geography and compare it with a particular literary text that we are studying. We can therefore get into the text through geography. We can therefore get into the literary text through almost any discipline you can think of. And now, the first task I'm giving you is identify any literary text that you've encountered and interact with this text by using 3 disciplines other than literature to interpret the text. And please ensure that these disciplines are not among the disciplines that I have identified in this particular lecture. I've told you the disciplines are counted. In the first part of this lecture that I'm delivering right now, the one that was discontinued because of space issues, I mentioned that there are many countless disciplines. So pick from those disciplines and see how those disciplines relate to literature. I hope this is something we will discuss further the next time we meet. We're going to have a physical lecture soon, and we will have this physical discussion, and we'll discuss this further. I thank you for listening. Please enjoy the rest of the semester. Thank you. Bye-bye.